Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Garage. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton is here, and the Court of Public Opinion is in session. I've actually got a gavel over there somewhere. A wonderful guy, a wood turner, I think he was. He made it for me when I was doing the Court of Public Opinion at the old 5DN, and it's got a beautiful green baize base. I'll dig it out and show it to you tomorrow. It's over there somewhere. I'll find it. Anyway, it's nice, you know, if you're in the Court of Public Opinion. I mean, having a gavel on the... No, Pete, don't worry. You won't find it. You won't find it. In this place, look around, for God's sake. It is a eclectic confusion of things that I like to think are interesting. Thank God I haven't turned the dining room table into anything as confusing as this garage, but be that as it may. And now that the weather is reasonably good, getting better in fact, I'm going to take some cars out and enjoy them. I never know whether it's good to give them a running life or it's good to give them a nice, dignified, sedentary sort of life. They can't talk to me. I suppose they do in a way. But being a father of 4, I can tell you here that it doesn't matter much what you say or what you decide, it's going to be wrong. It is going to be wrong. I can't really, Pete, I don't want to bore people with this voice thing, but I don't know whether we can go too far away from it because...
We can't.
It is so terribly, terribly important. It's quite clear to me that Aboriginal people and elders, you know, the wise, the old and the bold among the Aboriginal tribes are saying no to this referendum. I think displaying great wisdom and what can I call it? Character. I'm pretty sure that the yes vote will lose the referendum. Because really underneath it all, as Pete was saying when he came into the live streaming on the dining room table on Friday, you did read the whole 26 pages, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And unequivocally, it says they want a separate country. Their demands are such that Australia would be, basically, as we know it today, destroyed.
It would.
Is that paraphrasing it properly?
They want 2 countries. They want 2 countries, 2 laws.
But why would you want apartheid? Why would you want 2 countries?
Jeremy, can I just say, anybody who is voting yes, or thinking of voting yes, has not read those 26 pages.
Including the Prime Minister.
If you have read the 26 pages, you could not possibly vote yes.
Yeah.
It is that dangerous.
No, I agree. I must admit I didn't read the full 26 pages because they seem to be legalese and a preparation for an assault on the High Court. These weren't background notes or groups of people who were just adding a bit of character or colour or movement to the whole thing. The truth of it is, and if the Prime Minister chose to be truthful, he would have to say that what they've done is to go through the 26 pages, or more correctly, the 112 pages, and come up with a sanitised, barely acceptable 1 page that is not likely to frighten the horses. Now, I don't know what that tells you about our Prime Minister.
1 word, incompetent.
I don't know. I don't know what's driving him, Pete. How do you get to be a Prime Minister and be incompetent?
How do you do what he's done without reading the document?
And yes, yes. Plausible deniability, I said on Friday, was why he said, I haven't read it, so that when the you-know-what hits the fan, he says, oh, well, gee, I didn't know that. But, I don't know about politics. I really don't know. There are people who are rusted on to the Labour Party and people who are rusted on to the Liberal Party, and it doesn't much matter what they do. People are going to be loyal. Well, I'm not that stupid. I hope to God you're not that stupid. If this thing comes out to be a no, what they really want, of course, is not a voice, because they've got so many voices, about 1,000 of them. By that I mean organisations who are paid big money to be the voice for Aboriginal people. And you're talking 400 different tribes. So it's not easy to be the voice for Aboriginality in Australia. But the truth of it is, they want a treaty. A treaty. And as John Howard said on the end of this program going back last week, you can't have a treaty with a group of Aboriginals, even 400 different tribes. A treaty has to be a nation. The Aboriginals have never been a nation. I know the ABC talk about only, First Nations. Well, that's silly. There was never a nation here. There were, like New Guinea, really, a whole series of clans and tribes, very divided, sometimes in conflict, at total war. I think when the no vote does come up, I think it will be time that Australia stood up for itself. With our black brothers and sisters, all of us together, the whole thing has become totally ridiculous and divisive. We are obsessing over the concerns, I was going to say, over the concerns of 3% of the population, but that's not right, because when I read into this, I can see that it's only a small percentage of that 3% that are actually in favour of this. But they are a very influential small section. They are moneyed, they are very well educated, they are powerful, and they are motivated. Now, the Aboriginal population, because of the generosity of, and indeed the prosperity of this country, we are able to provide $40 billion, which is an awful lot of money when you spread it among the Aboriginal men, women and children of this country. They are a very privileged, indulged 3% of the population, if they were to be able to get the money. And I, for one, don't believe for a second that very much of that $40 billion actually gets to the men, women and children of the Aboriginal population of Australia. That's what we've got to fix. But the elites, the intellectuals, the academics, the celebrities don't want to know about that. Can you imagine what would happen if there was a forensic accounting of where all that money goes?
Can I just remind you, Senator Liddle wanted a Senate inquiry.
Senator who?
Liddle.
Liddle.
Yeah, the Liberal senator.
Yeah.
Wanted an inquiry into where the money is going. And the Labor said no.
Well, the Labor Party can't say no, because what is wrong?
Well, they said no.
What's wrong with the accounting to the Australian people of where the money goes. The Aboriginal people would benefit from that information. We would benefit from that information. Oh, come on, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I mean, this is the sort of thing the ABC should get stuck into. We have an ABC national broadcaster obsessed with Aboriginal issues, The Voice, basically anything Aboriginal, but nothing constructive for Aboriginal people. And of course, climate change. Oh my God, climate change. We are paying $1 billion a year to have this nonsense broadcast on the many different platforms owned by the ABC, and I think if you went through all the different channels and stations, it's about 32. 32 radio stations and television stations run by and owned by the ABC. Oh boy. Oh, by the way, if you'd like to take over as the chairman of the ABC, I understand they're advertising for a new chairman. Ita Buttrose is stepping down, I don't know when, sometime March next year, something like that. Interesting. It's been suggested that I put my name forward. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Look, the nomination would disappear, but if it happened to get up, I would disappear. You remember what they did to poor old Jonathan Shire when I think it was John Howard employed Jonathan Shire to knock the ABC into some shape? Because my mind goes back to the ABC in the glory days. I can remember when I came out of school, I applied for the ABC, and they said, I'm sorry, Jeremy, your qualifications are just not sufficient. We prefer people with a university degree. We prefer people who can speak at least 3 languages fluently. And I was a bit dismayed, you know, a bit disappointed, because that certainly wasn't me at the time. But years later, I had the privilege to meet Sir Charles Moses. He was the chairman of the ABC at the time I turned up at the door and asked for a job. He ran a meritocracy, but he was a Conservative. And following Sir Charles Moses, there was another guy, let me think of his name. So that fly is a bloody annoying thing, you know. What do you think that fly is trying to tell me? I've got it. Sir Talbot Duck Manton. Sir Talbot Duck Manton followed Sir Charles Moses into the top job. And he too was a Conservative. Then along came this guy called Gough Whitlam. And he decided that this hotbed of excellence, conservatism, whatever, was going to be turned into a radical place. He was going to reform it. And I can't really remember the list of the conga line of people that the Labor Party put in to run the ABC, but the end result is there on your radio and on your television station every night. I think it is time we go back. We go back to common sense. And just quickly, have I got time? Sometimes I believe that not just the ABC is crazy, but the media is crazy, totally nuts. I see that Kyle Sandilands and Jackie O. Kyle and Jackie O are negotiating a new contract in Sydney. Now, if you're watching me somewhere in the world, in Adelaide you wouldn't know either, but you see, this is the joke, part of the joke really. They are negotiating a Sydney contract, new contract on, I don't know, is it called KISS or Smack FM or Bonk FM? Wank FM? I don't know. One of those, something like that. I don't know, I can't remember. Anyway, whatever the station is called in Sydney, this is just Sydney, right? They want $100 million. $100 million. Yep. They do a 3-hour radio program. I mean, they have to have 2 people. You know, in all my years of broadcasting, I have never had more than me. But they have to have 2 people because they can't talk. They have to have somebody to banter with. You know, that's what they have to do. Right? They do a 3-hour program, and not very well. And in the overall scheme of things, not very popular. They are currently on, I am told, after a bit of research, $5.5 million a year at the moment. That's their fee at the moment. They want a 10-year contract at $10 million a year. I've never heard of anything so ridiculous in all my life, but you know, they'll probably get it. Or maybe they'll just go out and say they got it. I don't know. That those 2 people actually made it that far, or this far, in radio, is not so much a credit to them. It's an indictment of Sydney radio. And I don't know if Sydney radio is much better or worse than Adelaide radio. I don't know. I don't listen to it. I have my other sources. I'll leave you quickly with some birthdays. September 19. The wattle is declared Australia's national flower and incorporated into the Commonwealth coat of arms. That was 1912. Gee, the year my mother was born. 1876, the first carpet sweeper was patented by Melville Bissell of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Gee, 1876, the carpet sweeper. 1952, The Adventures of Superman TV series starring George Reeves premieres in syndication in the United States. 52, this day, September 19. Slim Dusty, God rest his soul, the lovely David Kirkpatrick, Australian country music singer and legend. He dies of cancer at the age of 76, 2003, on this day. We used to talk regularly. He was a lovely, lovely man. Actress Angelina Jolie, 41, files for divorce from fellow actor Brad Pitt, 52, citing irreconcilable differences. Which, when you come to think of it, would probably make a good TV show in itself, wouldn't it? I wonder what the differences were. 2016, that was. Academy Award-winning actor Rod Steiger, 34, wed stage and film actress Claire Bloom. She was 28, Los Angeles, California, 1959. Rod Steiger, yes. Yes, I know him. One of the first known modern beauty contests ever held in the world on this day in Spa, Belgium, 1888. That would have been interesting. Been interesting to be a fly on the wall when that was on. One of my favourite people in all the world, Guy Gibson. Guy Gibson, 1944 was the year, British aviator. He led the Dam Busters raid, Victoria Cross. And believe it or not, Wing Commander Guy Gibson. I don't know whether he was knighted after he had died. He might have been. I must look that up. But when he was killed in action on this day in 1944, so close to the end of the war, he was only 26 years old. 26. He was just a boy. Henry Meyer patents the sleeping rail car in 1854. The United States bars Charlie Chaplin from re-entering the country after a trip to England in 1952 because of his communist leanings. Jackie Collins, British-American romance novelist, the stud. Oh, we used to talk to Jackie Collins every time she had a book coming out, and that was bloody well every year. But she was good fun, Jackie Collins. British-American romance novelist, the stud, the bitch, lucky, dies sadly of breast cancer at the age of 77. 2015 was the year. Lord Haw Haw, his real name was William Joyce, becomes the radio host of a Berlin anti-British propaganda radio show in 1944. Lord Haw Haw. After the war, they got him, they sentenced him to death. I don't have a note here as to whether or not they killed him or not, or they did it, but that was 1939. Sentenced to death on this day in London in 1945. New Zealand becomes the first country to grant all women the right to vote. 1893, that was. Nikita Khrushchev is denied access to Disneyland. I wonder why. Poor old Nikita. Anyway, that was 1959. And Fawlty Towers, starring John Cleese, Pamela Scales and Andrew Sachs, premieres on BBC TV in the UK in 1975. I love good old John Cleese. He was on my show on Friday. Well, on record, or no, on tape. Anyway, thank you so much for being with us. Pete and I will be back tomorrow, and I look forward to your company live streaming from the dining room table come Friday, jeremycordeaux.com. 3 hours. Interesting guests. Leon Byner's going to be with us. I've got a very special guest, a remarkable man. He is 100 years old, and he's going off in a couple of weeks to play competition tennis. Remarkable man. And lots of other guests as well, and I hope you, because you can call us, of course. It's all interactive, ladies and gentlemen. The Court of Public Opinion will return tomorrow here on Facebook and as an iPod thing. What do you call them?
Podcast.
Podcast. I'll get the hang of this. I really will. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton and I wish you a very good day. Thank you very much. Believe in yourself, and bye for now.